This episode is sponsored by Jacobson Real Estate Company. Are you ready to find your dream home? Or maybe you're thinking about selling and want the best deal possible? Well, look no further. At Jacobson Real Estate Company, we make buying or selling your home smooth, stress-free, and exciting. With 50 plus years of experience and a deep knowledge of the Winona, Minnesota area market, we specialize in turning your real estate goals into reality. Whether it's finding that perfect neighborhood, negotiating top dollar for your property, or answering all of your questions along the way, we're here for you. Plus, with our personalized approach, you're not just a client, you're family. So why wait? Let Jacobson Real Estate Company open the door to your future. Call us today at 507-313-2716 or visit our website at jacobsonrealestatecompany.com. Because your next chapter starts here. Buy, sell, invest. Jacobson Real Estate Company. Welcome to this week's edition of Brews Cruise. I am your host, Chris Jacobson, and I have a treat here today I bet many of you probably have questions about, and it is about the pole fitness community. And I want to welcome Ashley Wagner here to talk about just that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming into the Speakeasy Studios tonight, and you brought us drinks, which is fantastic. So what are we having tonight?
Okay, so my personal favorite is this THC beverage called Can. Short for cannabis. But this little guy is a 2 milligram THC drink.
Okay.
Just a nice little light, refreshing beverage to kind of take the edge off.
Perfect.
And then you have this bad boy. That's from, I think you pronounce it Oliphant Brewing. I'm not quite sure.
I want to go with Elephant. It looks like Elephant.
And I believe it's out of Wisconsin, Somerset. That is a lemonade, a THC lemonade as well.
Yeah, it's out of Somerset, Wisconsin. You're right.
Yeah, so that's my husband's favorite brand of THC.
And he said, "Oh, you're gonna give me a pink can."
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that. I love it.
Yeah, because I was like, well, these cans are lemon lavender flavor. I don't know if Chris is really gonna want that. So I pulled out one of my husband's, and he's like, "So you're gonna give him a pink can? Cool."
Perfect. Cool. Well, let's crack these bad boys open then. A little THC. All you need is one of these, and I think you're good.
Oh, for sure.
Cheers, Ashley.
Cheers. Good little beverage on a Tuesday night while we're filming, right?
That's right. Ooh, that's really good.
Isn't it? It kind of tastes like cotton candy, doesn't it?
It has at first it's lemonade with you can taste a little bit of the marijuana in it.
Yeah.
But then it has like a cotton candy after flavor.
Yeah.
So I love it.
It's really nice.
And you can put your drink right there. I got you a water in case you need one.
Thank
That we don't have to keep
so
leaning
much.
forward for yourself.
Love it.
And you know, a fun fact about your husband is he used to work at Blockbuster when I was little.
Yes.
And he used to check out my videos when my mom would rent me a video when I was probably in middle school.
Yes.
And the reason I know him is because he's like 7 foot tall.
Right.
So he's not like someone you just walk by and never think of again. He is like, he's a basketball player. Look, you walk by, you're like, oh, is he playing basketball?
Oh, for sure.
So I remember him.
I love that you remember that because that's how I remember him too before I knew who he was, is literally like.
Did you check out your movies too?
Yeah, like late middle school, early high school. I remember looking at him at the checkout and being like, oh my God, that guy's like freakishly tall and weird looking. And now I'm married to him. Like, what the hell?
Is he going to be ripping on us after we?
No, he knows I tell that story, so we're good.
Great. Well, what was he? Would he had to be in college then, or high school?
Yeah, because he's 7 years older than me. So yeah, he was early college.
Oh yeah, I was checking out like Nintendo 64 games and PlayStation games. Absolutely.
Sega.
Well, that's great. And you and me, we go back a little bit to high school. We kind of a little bit of passing or crossing paths, as you would say it.
Right.
I came back. You were friends with my cousin Mitchell, right? Is that how we knew each other?
Yeah. Oh, that is totally. Because I was trying to remember. Like, obviously, I knew we went to high school together. But I was trying to remember like if we had like a mutual friend group or how that worked. But yeah, I bet it was because
Were you friends with his girlfriend, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's how we knew each other. Because
Yep.
I'm like, I remember we used to hang out here and there, but that was almost 20 years ago,
I know.
probably. So
at similar parties.
yeah,
same parties.
probably.
Were you ever at Mike Bamenik's parties?
Where did he live?
Like up past Garvin Heights.
Did he ever have like bonfires in the
Yeah.
woods? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So I was there one time. I think it was like the weekend before my senior year, or maybe my junior year, and they had like a huge bonfire in I want to say like a cornfield.
Yeah.
And they threw a couch in that bad boy.
Yes,
Holy
I was
smokes.
there.
All right, so we were there together. Yeah, I bet I remember someone, they were throwing pallets, and then all of a sudden a 3-person couch went in, and I was like, holy shit.
I know.
And the flame was probably 10 feet high minimum.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Some real ragers.
So I was there for one time.
I
Because
love that.
I don't know if I know Mike Bamenik other than that party.
Those
probably.
parties, yeah.
So that's hilarious.
Yep.
Well, I want to get into what you're actually here.
Yes,
Is
absolutely.
pole fitness.
Yeah.
And explain to people what pole fitness is.
Yeah, kind of sounds like what it is, really. Pole, not Pull. Gotta make the difference
Oh,
there.
not a pole.
Not a pull, but a pull vertical.
Perfect.
But yeah, so pole dancing, it gets kind of a bad rap because of, it's something that is known for stripping.
Sure.
But it's really come a long way over the years and has become more of a fitness, exercise community as well. And so, yeah, we do pole dancing and pole tricks and strengthening using the pole as like another exercise piece of equipment.
Well, you got to, if you think about it, it's no different than monkey bars. If you were to go outside and do some pull-ups on a monkey bar or swing around a monkey bar.
Yes.
However, the name is probably what gets it.
Exactly.
And so I have so many questions, and I've seen videos that you've posted online of not only yourself, but other clients doing this, and I'm like, that takes a lot of core strength from what I can see.
Yes, absolutely.
And so do you have a history of where this all came from?
Yeah, so like in general where it came from?
Yeah, whatever you know, because
all right.
I mean, I guess you don't have to go down the stripping path of this if you don't want to.
Well, so I kind of have a general idea of like where pole dance started in general. It dates back a long time ago. I think in Indian countries and in India, maybe. I'm not quite sure.
Comment if you know.
Yeah, comment if you know. But I believe the sport is called Malakam, and they use like a wooden pole, and people do various tricks and climb the pole and do flips off of it and stuff like that. So that's like initially where pole started. But it really didn't take off until the early 1900s. I want to say like the 30s and 40s. In circus communities.
Okay.
Yeah, so there would be women that would dance, and I think it was called like hoochie dances or coochie dances that they would do.
Of course it would be.
With the circus poles. So yeah, that was a thing, and then strip clubs became a thing more in like the 1980s, and then of course from there, we have what everyone knows pole dancing as. And then pole fitness started in the mid 90s.
Okay.
A woman that was a stripper decided to start teaching it, and she opened her own pole studio in Vegas. And so from there, that's really how pole fitness took off.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that's where pole fitness would come from.
Right.
That it would come from a stripper that was in Vegas possibly. But the whole history of that is kind of crazy. Now, it doesn't shock me, I guess, that it was in like maybe the circus era. But, the Roaring 20s were a time if it was around that time.
Right.
That would be a time. But then, so I didn't really know much about pole fitness until actually, and my parents are going to laugh about this because I know they listen every single week, until I watched an episode of The King of Queens back in the mid-2000s.
Yes, I know exactly what episode you're talking about.
Yeah, it's called Pole Locks.
Yeah.
And Doug tries to convince his wife to start taking pole dancing exercise lessons. by doing it in a cheesy way, and she's absolutely just terrible at it. But at the
Yes.
end of the episode, it's hilarious because he's really good at it.
Yes.
Okay, so you know that episode.
I know that episode, and I don't remember it at the time. Like, my parents watched King of Queens, but someone sent me that episode, like, over the last, 5 years or something. And so I watched it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah,
funny.
so you are Polacks in Winona.
Yeah.
You are our Polacks. Okay,
Yeah.
so that brings me back to, how did you decide this is going to be an avenue I would like to do?
Yeah.
Did you first start out trying it at a class?
Yeah, so I went to a strip club at one point, and
Haven't we all?
yes, and I watched those dancers and was like in complete awe. At their athletic abilities, but also how they could take control of a room and like grab people's
Okay.
attention. It was so fascinating to me. So I was like, I really want to try that. I don't have the guts to do it. I'm not athletic at all. I had no athletic background, little to none. And so finally, around my 30th birthday, I had looked into it. There was a pole studio in La Crosse. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it. If not now, when, right?
Sure.
So I go to that class. I'm all by myself. I'm shaking, literally physically shaking. I have on long yoga leggings. Like, we'll get into that later, but not the proper clothing for pole. But I tried it. I fell in love with it. I was pretty decent at it. And so I kept going with it. And
So you don't have to be an
here we are.
athlete to do this.
Not at all.
So you said you had no athletic background or slim to none.
Absolutely none.
Okay, and
I dabbled in dance here and there in high
Okay.
school, but not a dancer whatsoever.
okay, and then you said you started this on your 30th birthday. You just tried a class.
Yeah.
Okay, so you weren't really young. You're 30 years old. I mean,
Exactly.
not that that's not young. I'm just saying, like, you weren't like, oh, it's 20. I'm 20 years old. Let's just try this and see what happens.
Exactly.
And so you're the only person in that class?
No, there was other people. It was a group
Okay.
class.
You went by
but
yourself?
I went by myself, like no friends with me.
Oh, man.
So I'm like shaking, and the instructor is just amazing. And I consider her my pole mom because she raised me for the first several years of my pole journey. We call
sounds
those
so
our
interesting.
pole mamas. So I have many
Pole
pole
mom.
babies now.
Oh, nice.
I'm a pole mama.
You still keep in touch with her then?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, of course.
She's just down in La Crosse, you said?
Yeah.
All right,
Yep. So
that's-
she owns Posh Fit in La Crosse. So if any listeners live in La Crosse, go and check her out. She's amazing. She's been polling for far longer than I have.
Is that what you call it, polling?
Polling, yeah.
Polling. So
Yeah.
you go bowling, you go golfing. I'm going polling tonight.
Yes.
Perfect. I love it.
Absolutely.
Now you said you went there in leggings. I feel like that'd be a fine thing to wear, right?
Yeah, no, it's
not.
not. So that is kind of a myth, like I guess a lot of pollers get bad rep from people that don't poll, like, oh, they're showing so much skin, like cover up. Okay, well, if you think of the physics of a pole and your clothing and needing to grab the pole, clothing is going to slip.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so you can't grip anything with clothing on.
I suppose. And leggings would not help because they're spandex material.
Exactly.
Okay, so you do need to use your skin for some stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, like, when people come to their first class, I always recommend shorts.
You recommend
Tank
shorts,
tops.
tank tops. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is it just girls doing this, or are there men?
No, men do it too. There's men athletes that pull. I mean, it's really like gymnastics in that
Sure.
way. Men are really cool because they move differently. They have more upper body strength, so they can do a lot of crazy cool tricks that
Really?
maybe a woman can't do.
Do you have one that is like, I wish I was a man because I could do that, but a man wishes he could be me because I can do this? Is there something?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's one thing that a man can do that impresses you if they're pulling?
Right. Okay. So we went to Vegas I think it was in 2019. It was my first time in Vegas. And we went to a Cirque du Soleil type show. And a male polar had the pole behind his back in what we call a shoulder mount. So he's literally holding the pole behind his back, and he's in a full-on plank, like straight out.
Oh, man.
Just like defying gravity.
That's nuts.
Parallel to the ground, you know? And so, like, that would be just the coolest.
Well, I've seen guys who are able to put both hands on a pole and, like, bring themselves sideways, and I always think that's just, I don't know how the heck they do that.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Looks like a lot of core strength, so.
Yeah.
All right, so, so there's just a lot I got so many questions, and I love it. I never asked you any of this beforehand because it's all brand new.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, there's competitions for this? Because obviously, like, if I were going bowling or golfing, like I was saying before, like, I can go play in a tournament. Is there, like, tournaments for this?
Yeah. So we have pole competitions. I've been in a couple.
You've competed
in some, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So lots of amateur pole competitions. Mainly, I guess the closest ones are like Chicago. There's one in Minneapolis every year.
Okay.
That I try to get to. But yeah, various ones all over the U.S. every year, and the world for that matter.
Sure.
I mean, pole is a lot bigger in other countries.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like Europe, Russia.
Are they doing it for the reasons of making money, or is it because it's like a competition there?
I think it's more the competition.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure. I mean, pole has gotten to a place now where there's influencers out there, and so there are people that are doing it for money.
Sure.
But I think primarily as an athlete.
So Americans have sexualized it.
100%.
For money. Perfect.
Yes.
So you go to these competitions, and you said the closest one is Minneapolis once a year. So when you're doing this, is it cost money to get into, or how do you do this?
Usually you have to pay a fee.
All right.
And then there's different levels and categories. So you choose what level you're going to be in based on fundamental tricks that you're able to do.
Okay.
So you can enter a competition as a complete novice, and then you have to stay within those rules. Like, so there's restricted tricks that you can't do. So you can't go upside down at all.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, someone as beginner as novice who can't lift their body weight over their head yet could compete. So it's really cool. It's really open to anybody, honestly. So anyway, you pick your level, and then you choose your category. So with pole, there's different styles. So there's exotic, which is going to be your stripper, like classic type of pole dancing.
What everyone else that is listening knows.
Yes,
Perfect.
exactly. Yep, heels, sexy, floor work, that type of thing.
Okay.
And then there's usually an artistic division. So they're the more like contemporary dancer, maybe like using a lot of emotion in their dance. And then there's sport, which is more gymnastics type based, where it's very trickster based.
Okay.
And then lastly, there's usually like an entertainment or theater category, and those people are really like telling a story, and it's very theatrical, themed out.
So it's 4 categories.
Usually 4 categories.
And then there's levels within that?
And then there's levels within those categories.
Okay, so then my next question is, what do you compete in?
So the last competition I did, I get them mixed up because they vary with competitions. I think I did advanced. That's what I did.
Okay, is
I
that
did
the
the
top?
advanced level.
Is that
no,
top?
It's not top.
Oh, there's one.
So there's the last competition I did was beginner, intermediate, advanced, semi-pro, and pro.
Okay, so you're like in the middle then of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's people that are like crazy good. I'm not there yet.
All right. So then what category are you competing in then?
So usually I tend to steer towards artistic.
Artistic, okay.
Yeah. I
So
like
you-
to do emotional type pieces.
Okay. And then you get dressed up in like a costume and all that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. So usually people wear like a leotard or like a two-piece costume. Depending on their piece, they might have like layers that they take off or, like really crazy cool makeup and stuff.
Oh, I've seen your photos, I think, on Instagram, and I was wondering, I'm like, that is not what I would think of when I think of
Yeah.
polling or
Yeah.
pole dancing. So I'm thinking of, sorry, folks, I'm thinking of the exotic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Naturally. I mean, if you're not exposed to it, like, why wouldn't you think that?
And I am not exposed to it.
Yeah.
So you're in the artistic, and then you went to advanced. How'd you place in the last one that you went to?
I placed, I think, 4th out of 9.
Okay.
So
Then you said you've won before.
I have.
Was it in the
Yeah.
artistic category?
Yeah.
It was. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yep.
you just kind of been advancing yourself up.
Yeah. Yep. I've recently decided I don't know if I want to continue competing. That's like a whole nother field of pole, and it can be really stressful. I mean,
Sure.
you're up there with hardly any clothes on, climbing a pole and flipping your body upside down, way up high, 12 feet in the air, and people are watching and people are judging you and like marking you, for little things like flexing your feet, not pointing your toes.
Oh,
so
wow, that detailed.
It's really stressful. And I don't know if my old ass body can handle it.
Okay. Well, now you say 12 feet high. I mean, I assume there's been injuries.
Oh yeah, people fall off the pole.
Have you seen that?
I saw a girl fall off a pole at the last competition, and yeah, it's so scary. But she like got up and finished her routine, but she was
Perfect.
in the back icing whatever joint she hurt
Oh, I bet.
afterwards. So
So when the judges are judging, is there like a cheat sheet they have, and they're like, there's these categories within?
yep.
What do we
yep.
get? Do you know the categories off the
I
top of your head?
don't know off the top of my head. It's a super good question. It varies by pole competition.
Okay.
They're all pretty like independent of one another. That's the problem with pole is it's not like a nationally recognized sport yet.
Of course.
So everything is kind of just like hodgepodge in a way.
Sure.
But yeah, they score based on, your outfit, how it matches with your theme, how your technique, your
Okay.
lines, your tricks, according to the level you're in.
Well, the Olympics had breakdancing.
Yeah.
So polling 2028, are we polling?
It's possible. I know that it was something that they were like really working hard to get
No
in
kidding.
Olympics a couple years ago, and
Okay.
obviously it hasn't made it yet. So I don't know where it's at.
You don't know where it's at?
Yeah,
Oh.
there is a U.S. pole federation that I believe is like the official pole.
Wow, there's an official federation and everything for this.
Yeah.
Wow, this is how green I am with this. I
Right.
don't even know anything about this except for, the exotic portion.
Yeah.
So now, when it comes to the pole, I imagine you're on a stage, right?
Yeah.
And there's got to be a pole, but is it going all the way to the ceiling? Like, how is it stabilized?
Yeah. So if you're at a pole competition, they have truss systems
Okay.
that they put up, and then the poles are connected to those truss systems.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how it's
stable.
stabilized?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because some of those competitions take, the last one was in like a warehouse, basically.
Sure.
So, yeah, they build the stage and they build the trussing system all up.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
now when you were first getting into this, did you ever have a fall?
Yes,
Okay.
I did, man. Oh.
On the hard surface, or did you have like pads underneath? Because
No, I was on the hard surface. I was just telling my students about it last night. But yeah, it was early on in my pole career. I was able to invert, so I was lifting my body up over my head, and I
right.
went into a trick that I didn't know very well yet. And I didn't have a crash mat below me or a spotter, and I went into it and fell right on my face.
oh, ouch, right in your face.
Yeah, luckily I didn't
Oh.
break anything, but it was mortifying.
So you broke your pride.
I totally broke my pride for the day. Yeah, maybe several days.
Oh no. So if someone came in, they're brand new, is there a padding system, or it's just
Yeah.
like if you fall, you fall?
No, so we have crash mats, and I
Okay.
always tell my students, especially when they're learning a brand new trick, like get the crash mat, call for me to come spot you if you feel uncomfortable. So, yeah. We try safety first. I mean,
safety
really,
first.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I want the students to come back.
Obviously, otherwise the business isn't going to work out so well.
Right.
Totally get it. So did you ever learn on a crash mat, or did you just go for it?
Yes, we had crash mats.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you said, I don't want to try it today.
Yeah, I was like, I'm good. I don't need that. Yeah.
Flying without the
can't
safety
do that.
nets.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, I imagine you get into this, and it's like, and if you say it's like fitness, obviously, are there people of all shapes and sizes coming to this?
Completely different shapes and sizes.
Really?
I literally was watching a video from a pole competition over the weekend in San Francisco and watched a plus size poler do tricks that I can barely do. So
wow.
I was just like in complete awe. But yes, so people of all shapes and sizes can do pole. And the cool thing about pole, like I said, with the different categories and competitions, is you can really take pole and do any kind of style you want. You don't have to be sexy and do pole that way. You could be silly or athletic and sporty with it. So, yeah.
What do they consider a pro then? Because you were telling me the categories, and there's a semi-pro and a pro. Is that like someone that does this as a competition for money, or is it someone that's getting paid at a strip club?
So these are people, like the pros are usually, there is money involved for the pros, usually. There's a prize.
Okay, sounds good.
I mean, it's not astronomical by any means. I mean, it's a good chunk of change. And then depending on the competition, they might also, if they place, might get qualified for like another bigger competition.
Okay, so they're basically running around competing at all these different things for money.
Totally.
Okay, so that's the difference between a pro.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and they're probably an influencer too, of some degree.
Sure.
I can't remember what your initial question was.
My question was, what's the difference of a pro?
Oh,
I didn't know if it was like, I guess my real question was, is a stripper who gets paid money at a strip club, are they considered pro because they're getting paid money?
Oh, no.
Okay, so there's a difference. So along with the alliance or the federation, as you were saying. Okay,
Yep. Clear difference.
There's a clear. Okay. Well, you're getting paid to strip at a strip club. I mean,
absolutely.
You're pro there, I suppose.
Hell yeah. They're a pro in their own way too.
Now, when it comes to the different sizes of women, are they still under the same category, or is there like here's a plus size competition, or is it you're all under the same, whether you're under advanced, mediocre, pro, and then out of the four categories you said theatrics, exotic, and all those?
No difference in sizes in terms of categories for competition. There are sometimes, depending on the competition, different sections for ages.
Okay.
So, because obviously a 20-year-old's going to be able to fly around the pole a little bit easier than a 40-year-old.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Who's the oldest one you've ever seen polling?
Ooh.
70, 80, anyone?
I haven't seen one that old, but there are those ages out there that compete because I've heard about it. I've seen it on social media, but I've probably seen someone in their 60s.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. And they're moving like real good too.
They're moving. I mean, they might not be doing crazy ass tricks way up high on the pole, but some of them are.
Yeah. And they're probably flexible too, which is actually one of the biggest things I learned in college is the reason people, when they get older, they start getting more immobile is just because they get less flexible.
Yeah.
But I assume with polling, you have to be flexible.
You do have to have a degree of flexibility.
Yes,
totally.
I would suck at this at the moment.
Personally, I'm not very flexible. It's my downfall. So.
Okay. So do you work on stretches to help you through? Or like a warm up? Is there
not
a warm up?
Yeah. So we do a warm up every time before we get on the pole. So there's some stretching there.
Okay.
But I mean, some people take like active flexibility classes, and man, I just don't have time for all of that.
Well, yeah, because this isn't your full time job. You're a pole studio, right? It's not your
right.
This is part time.
Yeah,
okay.
I have a full time muggle job too. So
plus being a mom and all that,
and being a mom
and a wife.
Whew, yeah.
So flexibility is the thing you need to work on most. You say.
Totally.
Me too. Yeah. I am so non-flexible.
It's so hard. And then like if you're at the gym, like you want to be working on like your strength and cardio,
right? Not
your mobility or your balance or your flexibility, right? But it's important
Yeah, I know, and I don't do. I'm so bad at that. I want to stretch. I should stretch. My wife tells me you better stretch because I don't do like a pre-stretch or a post-stretch. I just go to the sauna. That's where I talk to you to come on here at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the thing that makes me more flexible sitting here.
Just keep telling yourself that, right?
That's not actually it. So now at your pole studio, how many clients do you have, or do they come here and there whenever they please?
Yeah, it's hard to put a number on it because, I mean, I have people that'll come for a few weeks, take a break, come back,
Sure.
So I don't know how to answer that.
Well, I guess the question is there a membership?
So there isn't a membership. The way we do it right now is we have package deals.
Okay.
And we do series classes. So package meaning you can purchase 4 to 8 classes and then use those packages for various classes, pick and choose. Or you can sign up for a series class, and that's what our intro level class is offered right now as a series. So you sign up for 4 weeks consecutive weeks, and then you take that intro class with the same students every week, and you're all learning at the same pace.
Okay. How long is that
flat
one?
rate.
How long is that one? That intro class?
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
1 hour.
How many times a week?
One time.
One time a week. So
Yeah.
4 classes gets you through the intro level, huh?
Yes.
Really?
And I always say if you're getting through intro, take it multiple times because it's so important to hone in on the fundamental skills for any pole class, really, before you level up. Just first of all, for safety. Safety is our number one goal.
Yeah.
2, for your confidence. You want to be strong and confident in what you're doing before you start adding things where you're going up in the air and coming up off of the floor. It can be a dangerous sport, as we've talked about. I always recommend students take intro level at least twice just to really get those tricks down.
How long is one class then? So you're saying it's once a week. How long is the class? An hour?
It's
2
an
hours?
hour.
It's an hour. Okay.
Yep.
So only about 4 hours, and you would have somewhat of the introduction done. Because I imagine most people that are listening to this right now are probably going to be people that have no idea what this is, kind of like myself.
Right.
And they'd be wondering, because in my mind, I thought I would be going it'd be 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I assumed, or something, or maybe even twice. Mm-hmm. But you're saying once per week, 4 weeks gets you through the intro class, but take it multiple times. So maybe 8 hours worth, and you can already be
totally
flying around a little bit.
Flying around the pole.
Flying around
Absolutely.
the pole.
And literally when on day 1, our very first trick we learn is walking around the pole. So, I mean, it sounds crazy, but there is a technique to it. So,
can you share the technique or not?
Yeah.
Like, just say how you would instruct us to do this right now.
Yeah. So your
I'm on a
arm
pole.
comes up high. Yeah.
All right.
So it's your inside arm because it's the arm closest to the pole, and your feet are close to the base of the pole, and you lean your hips away. So you're drawing like a triangle with the negative space between your body and the pole. Okay. Your hips are away. So then when you walk around the pole, you're keeping your feet close to the base of the pole, so you're maintaining that triangle of the negative space the whole time.
Sure.
And what that does is it creates a sway in your hips because you want to be a bad bitch when you're on the pole, right? You want to own the stage. So the further you bring your feet away, the sillier you look. So you want to keep them nice and close to the pole.
That would be kind of like looking like you're leaning. It would look lazy.
Yeah, it looks lazy.
But not look sexy. Even a guy's supposed to do that, huh?
Yeah, and you come up on the balls of your feet because we want to elongate the legs.
Sure.
Yeah.
So guys have done this.
Guys have done it. I've had guys in class.
And they do this bad bitch thing?
Yes.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta own it.
I know. I feel like you would really have to. I imagine you get out of your comfort zone a little bit to do this, especially if you're not one that's like, even though it's like it's a private studio, obviously, you still are around some other people, and you have to like get out of your comfort zone, I imagine, just to do that and get in like this sexy mind, I guess I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, you're taking your clothes off, and I mean, you might be in shorts and a tank top the first time, but man, it's been winter. Like, we're all white, maybe hairy.
Whoa.
Maybe some holiday weight. So yeah, like
Sure.
you've got to be comfortable with getting down to, showing some skin. And it can be scary, but the good thing about pole is the community, especially if you're in these series classes, you're with the same people every week and you really get to know them and you really start to support each other and lift each other up.
Sure.
So,
Well, I feel like it's always like that with anything that people get into. They get a little nervous, but there's a community within it that's very supportive.
absolutely.
And it probably the same thing with obviously polling, as you were saying, because it's just like anything else, I feel. There's a lot of support system there.
Yep.
Now, what is your business called?
So my business is called Perception Body and Pole.
Okay, and you came up with a name or someone else came up with it?
I came up with a name.
What is this? What's it all about?
So
Perception, body, and pole.
I literally was looking at names of eyeshadows online when I was trying to come up with a name because, like people that name colors of anything like crayons.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's some pretty cool names out there. So
It's not just red, it's something else.
Right.
Ruby
so
red.
I started looking at makeup names and I came across one called Perception and I was like, wow, that is a really cool name because obviously many people perceive pole as one specific thing, right?
Yep.
So let's break the mold. Let's, change people's perception of it by having this studio and offering these classes.
Sure.
So that's where I came up with the name.
And then do you have a logo?
I do have a logo.
Did you make it yourself?
I did not. What's his name?
I don't know.
In town.
In town.
Jose.
Oh, Jose. Yes, because he just put something on LinkedIn about how he was working for the Winona Transit bus system, how he made police? Is it police? I don't know.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if that's his name, but he was working. I remember he said,
For the transit bus, you said?
Yeah, for like the T-buses that go around, like the new
creating their
on it.
logos?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
With all those colors that are on it now.
Peleaz.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, he's super involved in the community, and he's really great.
So he designed it for you.
He did design it for me. I wanted something like super duper basic. I didn't want it to show like a stripper on a pole because, man, like there's so much more to pole. Like and no disrespect to strippers. I mean, this is where pole originated. So, I mean, I'm going to go off on another tangent with that maybe later. But anyway, I wanted it to not be specific to women. So Jose helped me. We came up with a P, and it's got a dot in the middle of it, and it represents a pole trick. Okay. It's called a layback, but I think that it's a different variation. That is a nerdy thing. But anyway, it's a pole trick, and it's not specific to any gender. It's not specific to any size of a person. It's just a pee. But some people have asked me if it's a boob.
Perfect.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, that is not.
It's your perception.
That's right.
Perception.
If you want to think it's a boob, go for it. But why would I make a logo with one single boob? I don't know.
Yes, just one boob.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Like whatever people see it as.
Whatever.
Like, yes,
Yep,
that's great.
Yep.
Okay, so then you offer obviously classes, which you have the intro. Yeah. How much of a variety are there in classes then?
Yeah, so our main classes are fundamental classes because, there's not a huge pole community in Winona, obviously. So people are newly exposed to pole in the area. So I like to keep things pretty fundamental. So we do intro level 1 and 2, and then we do intermediate classes, and those are pretty trick/skilled based.
Okay.
And then we do offer some drop-in classes a friend of mine who used to be my pole instructor when I went to lacrosse. She is teaching with us now, and she teaches some choreography-based classes and some pole conditioning classes.
Nice. Okay, so are you teaching the classes, or do you have to have some people come in if it's above your...
Yeah, so I have a couple people that help me teach. I teach a majority of the skilled type classes. It just gets to be a lot during the week if I'm trying to teach all of the classes with everything else I have going on. So I have another instructor that teaches intro, and then of course this other instructor that does the choreography and the conditioning classes.
Okay, so how many hours do you think you spend teaching classes there every week? Do you know?
Right now I'm at like 2 to 4 hours a week teaching classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's roughly 4 classes then, because each one's an hour?
Yeah. Yeah. Lately I've been maxing at about 3 classes. There's been some times where I'm doing like 4 to 6 classes a week, and oh man, that's a lot.
How many people can come to a class? Like, obviously you have to have poles there. How many people would be able to go to a class if it was fully booked?
Yeah. So we have 4 poles. Some studios will have people share a pole. I've decided against that just so people can get the most out of their time. So classes are typically maxed out at 4 people.
Okay.
In our choreography classes, an instructor needs the pole to teach a dance. So those classes are maxed at 3. So super small, intimate classes.
Okay, so that's not very intimidating for people that might have the intimidation factor in their head of, ooh, I don't know if I should try this. It might be very intimate with 3 or 4 people.
Yes.
And are most of the people that come to your classes, are they from here in Winona, or are they coming from everywhere else?
Yeah, I do have some people that travel. You know, I've got a couple that have come from Rochester for a while. I have one right now from La Crosse. Some from rural areas.
Sure.
But yeah, other than the studio in La Crosse, I'm the only studio between here and the cities. There's none in Rochester.
Okay.
So those people tend to come to Winona.
I'm surprised there's nothing in Rochester, actually.
Isn't that crazy?
It's very surprising.
They had one they closed it a few years ago, so.
You were saying something and it just threw something in my mind. Do any couples come in and do it? Any like a husband and wife or boyfriend girlfriend?
I've had a boyfriend girlfriend come in and do a couple classes, but yeah, just that one.
Is there a couple? Is there like a couples pole dance choreograph?
No, but that's a really good idea.
They should, just like a competition.
Yeah,
feed off each other and it'd be like ice skating.
There is doubles pole.
Okay. Well, that's yeah.
But I've never thought of having a couples choreo class. That could be really
There you go. I just made a new category.
Yeah, I love it.
So how much would when it comes down to pricing, how much are we talking? Because I know what my membership at the YMCA is. It's like a monthly thing, but you said there's not really a monthly thing. You can pay for packages or an intro class. What are we talking price wise?
Oh man, I just changed the prices, and I should have reviewed that before.
Inflation's a bitch.
Right? So a drop-in class, if you're gonna come in and you're gonna take one single class and try it, it's $20.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it goes upwards from there. So, man, I don't remember what my packages are at. I think the series classes, and don't quote me, I think they're around $68 to $70.
For just the whole class?
For the month.
Okay,
for the series,
so you get a little bit of a discount. Because if you were to drop in every time, it'd be for 4 weeks. For one time, it'd be $80.
Right.
So okay.
Right, and obviously with the packages too, there's a little bit of a discount per class.
What happens if you miss the one class because I'm sick? Do we have to come back again?
Yeah, if you tell me well enough in advance.
Sure.
If you tell me the night before, I will refund you. But if you tell me at 3 o'clock and class starts at 5:30, you are not getting a refund.
All right. You heard it first.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because you got to be prepared and get your stuff all ready too.
Absolutely.
It's not like you go to the YMCA and there's a cycling class if you can make it, come on in. Otherwise, it's still happening no matter what.
Right, and we have 4 poles, and there might be someone that wanted one of those poles, and
That's
now
true
you
too.
have reserved it for yourself, and you're not coming. So
that's crazy. So now I want to ask you: have you had any pushback in the community because of polling or pole dancing in Winona? I mean, I feel like we're a very conservative group of people in Winona, and I feel like this would be like, whoa, what's going on over here now? Because we've had the 4 mile.
Right.
And that if you want to get a good joke out of someone, he's like, oh, yeah, I just head on over the 4 mile.
Oh, yeah.
And that's different
Classic Winona joke, right?
Right. So have you had any pushback at all in the community?
I haven't actually had any pushback. No? I've had more curiosity.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what would the curiosity look like? They just like stop in, but what's going on in here?
So I've had some merch, I've got students or friends that'll wear, a t-shirt or sweatshirt here and there around town, and they'll tell me that they'll get questions.
Sure.
Like, oh, I've seen that, or I've heard about that.
I've seen the boob.
What is it? Yes, I've seen the boob. What are they doing in that studio?
What's going on over there?
Yeah.
Okay, now I gotta admit that I just think there's gotta be some pervs out there.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's pole dancing.
Yeah.
And there's girls that could be in skimpy clothing.
Right.
Have any of them shown up?
Well, those doors remain locked during class, so.
Okay. Oh, so you lock them?
I lock the doors. We have black curtains on the doors.
So no one can look in?
No one can look in.
Awesome.
We've got the awesome window cling on the windows that are high up, because it's on Mankato and Broadway, so very busy intersection.
Yep.
With you get it on Amazon, and it's like the textured window cling.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
It's so cool at night, especially in the summer when the sun is going down. It'll shine right in, and there's like rainbows all over the floor. It's really pretty.
Oh, that's cool.
But anyway, yeah, you cannot see in that place.
So no free shows.
No free shows. Sorry.
Sorry, community. You gotta pay and do your job.
You do. Yep.
Has anyone ever come in and just said, this is just not for me, I stink at this. This is my one and only time?
I think most people feel bad, so they don't say that. But I have had a couple people go like, yeah, that was fun. I'm glad I tried it, but it's not for me.
Okay. How long you been open for?
So I started the studio just before COVID in 2020.
Oh,
I had
so
a
it's
small
been
studio space.
5 years almost.
Yeah, I had a really small studio space, and selfishly I opened it so that I could have a space to train.
Sure.
Because, man, I was commuting back and forth from La Crosse.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, and I had a pole in my house, didn't have a lot of space for it. I really needed a space to practice for competition. So we landed on a small space downtown, and my husband works from home, so he had like his own little separate office space within the space to work during the day.
Oh, okay.
So we had this shared small space. So I started teaching out of there as just kind of a way to supplement the rent a little bit. So I got my certification to instruct and pole, and then it was a very limited space, and I'm like, wow, I could really use more height with my poles. Mm-hmm. So we started looking at other spaces, and we landed on the space on Broadway in Mankato, and it was really perfect. It's got nice tall ceilings. The poles are 13 foot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're very tall. But yeah, so we've been there now for 2.5-ish years, and it's been really great.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, has your husband tried this?
No, I mean, he's touched the pole and maybe done a little turn around the pole, but he has absolutely zero interest.
Did he get his V? He got a really tall V if he's got his arm out there.
His triangle.
Triangle. Sorry, I called the flying V, I guess.
Yeah, he's a good pole husband, though. He's had to sit through a lot of pole competitions and performances, and let me tell you, there's some wild ones out there. So,
does he come to your competitions with you?
Oh yeah,
nice.
For sure. So,
is there like a husband section out there?
No, there isn't, but there's plenty of husbands sitting out there in the audience or partners for sure. Yes.
Now, do guys get into the competitions too? Is there a men's?
Yeah,
there is a men's competition.
Yeah. Depending on the competition, again, there's not necessarily like a men's category or.
So would they have to compete with the women then?
So sometimes they have to compete with the women.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the last one I did, there was a man that was competing. Actually, against his girlfriend, and his girlfriend placed.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I wonder what that ride home was like.
Right. Yeah.
So what are some other things like misconceptions when it comes to the poling community? Is there misconceptions?
Yeah,
I'm sure you've come along with a lot of them.
Obviously, people think they have to be strong to start pole, or they think they're too old, or they think they're too big or too skinny. I hear those excuses all the time, but like we've been saying all along during this chat, there really are no rules. There's no limits to pole. We learn by walking around the pole, and we build up the strength.
Sure.
And that's what's so cool about it. Like I said too, like I had no strength when I started pole, absolutely none. And wow, like I have come so far, and I have so much further to go.
Sure.
As with any sport,
Yep.
you can always improve.
Does the strength come pretty fast when you get going on it? Like you start working, and like all of a sudden, like, whoa, I am now doing this.
Yeah, and when we do our intro classes, we start working on climbing the pole by week 4.
Okay.
And some people just really learn it quickly and can get all the way to the top. And we have bells at the top as a celebratory thing.
You ring the bell.
Yes.
All right.
And so, people surprise themselves all the time.
Okay. So that's by the end of the first intro class? So it's 4
by
classes
like
in.
week 4 or so.
Now, I do have one question about the poles.
Yes.
Do they spin?
Oh, yeah. They spin. And
Okay.
that can be really surprising for people.
I know this because of a reason. But I didn't know that. I thought they were just, like a fire pole.
Yeah,
You go down the fire pole. But no, they spin.
They spin.
All right.
So yes, the poles can be in static, meaning non-spin, or in spin. And so typically the pole has a locking system on the base of the pole. So for example, ours have a pin that you pull out, and then that creates the spin.
Okay.
Once you pull
so
that
there's a
pin.
locking mechanism.
There's a
All
locking mechanism. So if you do a competition, you have 2 poles on stage, and one is in static and one is in spin.
Okay.
And you have to utilize both in your competition piece, and that's part of the judging as well.
Wow, there's so much about this. There's just crazy that I bet everyone that's listening right now goes, "Oh, I thought it was just stripping."
Yeah. See, it's not.
Anybody come in? Have you had anyone come in and do this to practice so they could go strip?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
I had
No
a girl quite a while back ago who came in for a private lesson because she was just getting into stripping and wanted to learn like some fundamentals. And so, if that's what you want to do, like, cool, come in. I'm always willing to help people in the stripper community too.
That's great.
Yeah.
So there's just all walks of life doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you had anyone that's been with you since day one, since you've opened the doors? Have you had?
Yeah. My intro instructor, she has been, since day one in the new studio.
Okay.
Yes. She's been there. So 2.5 years she's been polling. So and she's doing awesome.
Okay. So how many weeks do you train per week for yourself?
Oh, man.
Because obviously you have your own studio to yourself, so you could just go in there as much as you want.
Yeah, my training is kind of back burner these days.
Back burner.
Yeah, I try to get in there like once a week, but I totally down a rabbit hole. But I've really started to work on my strength training. As you might know, you've seen me at the Y.
Well, I had that was another question I was coming up with here.
Yeah.
But keep going.
So I've been really focusing on my strength training because I started to plateau and pull.
Okay.
And so I try to pull for myself once a week, but of course I always end up like planning class or cleaning the studio.
Sure. Well,
I get distracted so easy.
Those are the behind the scenes thing that people don't see.
Yeah.
You got to plan. You got to clean it. If it looks dirty in there, nobody's going to want to show up.
Exactly.
Because it'd be kind of gross. Like if the poles were all just fingerprinted up with greasy fingers.
Yeah,
or
it gets
dust on the
dusty
floor.
on the floor, and we're rolling around on it. Like we can't have that. So
So I had that question that I was going to ask you. I see you at the Y lately. What you're working on your strength, you said, because you've kind of plateaued, which that happens in fitness all the time. You have to do something different. So what are you now training at the Y and how many days a week are you on the Y to do strength training?
I'm doing about 2 to 3 now.
Okay.
I started out with 1, and now I've kind of built up.
What's the goal then? You got to have some sort of goal. I assume you're trying to build up strength to do fill in the blank.
Yeah, I'm trying to build up strength to do more 2 points of contact tricks. So,
Is that like a 1 foot, 1 hand?
Yeah.
Or 2 hands, like I was saying, and make yourself into a flag?
Yep. Specifically, working on some tricks where I only am using my arms to hold my weight. So, yeah, I was really struggling, and I was working on those types of tricks for years, and I finally said to myself, man, I need to just strength train.
Yeah.
That's the problem here.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and getting different ways of strength, obviously, like you said, you plateaued.
Yeah.
Now you got to hit your muscles from a different way and make them guess
For
again,
sure.
because now all of a sudden they're like, oh, we know how to do this. But you're working on trying to have just 2 points of contact. What's, like, if you're starting off, was it like 4 points, I assume?
Yeah,
2 feet hands?
4. Yep, 3 to 4. And
Okay.
I mean, you can stay with 3 to 4 for a very long time. I mean, my girls are doing all kinds of 3 to 4 tricks, and there's just so much to learn there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm at a point in my pole career where I'm like, I want to level up, and I'm not leveling up anymore, and I need to work on it.
Well, what's the next? What would leveling up mean to you? I guess, what would that consist of, other than just is it just the 2 points of contact? Is that the leveling up?
Yeah. There's fundamental tricks. So my leveling up would look like those 2 points of contact type of tricks.
Okay.
So really building up my arm strength. A lot of pole is leg strength, believe it or not, and core.
Okay.
Yeah. But once you start to get to the upper levels, you do have to rely more on your upper body strength.
Sure.
So, yeah, working on that.
Well, I always feel the core is, from what I'm just looking at, I'm like, man, that's a lot of core strength. But you're right. When you look at rock climbing, the same thing's true. You think you'd be pulling up, but actually it's a lot of leg strength to push yourself up and then grab onto your next spot. So,
exactly.
that is one of those things. Well, as we're starting to wind down here, I got a couple of questions just before we end here.
Yeah.
I want to know, what are the lowest point you've had in pole, and what's like a high point you've had? So as maybe I'm putting you on the spot, and that's okay. Take your time. But has there been a time you're like, I feel like this is my lowest point in polling, and then all of a sudden, this is my highest of high? Is it winning a competition as your highest of high, or losing a competition, or not getting a trick?
Yeah. Good question. I would say my lowest, maybe one of my lowest, I can't quite pinpoint it, but one of my lowest points, honestly, was not placing in my last competition.
The very last one you just had?
Yes,
okay.
In October. Because I had been strength training. I was strength training for once a week leading up to that. And I didn't place, and I felt very good about the competition going into it. I was really well prepared, but I didn't perform at my best. And I quite honestly have some stage fright. I get nervous, and I let my nervousness take over.
Sure.
And so one of the other things we didn't chat about is your grip strength and sweating. And when I'm nervous, I start to sweat in my hands, and then it's really hard to grip in the tricks that I have planned. So I still executed the routine. It went fine. If you're interested, go out and watch it. It's on my Instagram. I'm very critical of myself.
Okay. Would we know, would us green people or rookies, would we know what we're looking at? Would we be like, oh,
you would have
failed?
Probably no idea.
Okay.
Most people would probably be like, wow, that is amazing.
Absolutely.
But,
okay, yeah. So that's probably me.
So anyway, that was probably one of my lowest points. I got really disappointed with myself, and I took it too hard.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to step back from competitions. Like, maybe this isn't the path I need to go down with my pole journey, and that's okay.
Well, the thing about that is that, you've been training for so long, and this was just your most recent, and you didn't place. That could be a very defeating thing, rather than not placing when you just first got into it. It might be expected.
Right.
And
exactly.
so when you're at these competitions, is there a huge crowd out there, or is it like pretty small?
It's a smaller crowd, but it's modest. I'm typically still performing in front of like 50 to 100 people.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
you know, it's enough to set your nerves off.
All right.
So, yes. So after that, you know, I decided I'm just going to like take a step back. I really find more enjoyment out of performing in front of crowds where there's no competition. I know I'm not getting judged based on a score,
Just
only
for
on
fun.
opinions, and
Okay.
it's for fun. So I've moved forward from it, and yeah, I feel like I'm at a good place now.
What you talked about the grip strength and sweating. Is there anything you can do while mid competition? Like, you know, when you're at the gym, you start sweating and you can, well, some places let you use chalk, not our places, but
Yeah.
you can use chalk to dry out
Yeah.
your hands. Is there a thing, or no, you're just got to go?
For competition, like once you're gripped up and you're on stage, like that's it. You just
Okay.
go. But if you're taking a class, like totally common to have a grip aid, 2 separate words.
Yep, grip aid.
So yeah, we use a liquid chalk a lot called
Okay.
dry hands.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah,
People use
because
it
a
at the
lot
gym.
of golfers use it, or
Sure.
people use it in baseball. But yeah,
Okay.
dry hands is awesome. But yeah.
And then what's the highest point you've had so far since doing this?
Man, highest point.
Yeah, it's like, was it because of a competition, or maybe someone in one of your classes did really well, or?
I would say it's not a specific moment. I
Okay.
would say the highest point for me is seeing the community that I've built over the last
Sure.
several years through Pull, and the community that I've become a part of is the highest point for me.
That's awesome.
Everyone is so supportive. It's a very small community. So a lot of the times we all know each other. Like I know a lot of the pullers in the cities. And so we're very tight knit, and we're very supportive of one another, and we're all just kind of a little weird. And we all just embrace each other's weirdness, and
I
it's
don't know.
awesome.
Hey, that's really cool though, because you said you built up a community. Even just in Winona, this wasn't a thing, 5 years plus ago.
Right.
This was, in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is now a thing. And the only reason I know about it is because we're on Instagram and we're on Facebook together. That's the only reason I knew about it, other than the obvious portion. But that's really cool that that's such a high, because you built something here that people can be not only try, but also could be confident in, and then obviously support each other. And it's just a new way of fitness. Because I
Exactly.
imagine your heart rates have got to be going, because I know what it's like doing a plank on the floor. My heart rate gets going to about 150 while
Yeah.
I'm holding it for a minute.
Yeah.
Well, this is like doing it continuously.
Yeah.
While moving around, so that's-
exactly, you're literally defying gravity
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, before we get going, I do want you to tell people where they can find you,
Yes.
and reiterate the name again, please.
Yes, so we're Perception Body and Pull. We are located on the corner of Broadway and Mankato, where Cato Liquor used to be.
Cato
back
Liquor
in the
for
day.
those who are around Winona.
Yep. And so we're the door under the red overhang. We've got a big Perception Body and Pull sign above it. And we are on Facebook and Instagram.
And I will
check
put
us
those
out.
in the show notes too. So if you're
Yep.
listening, just scroll down, click on the show notes, and you'll be able to go right to Ashley's
Yes.
page.
Yep. And then we have a website. It's not an actual website yet. It's Vagaro. So that's our booking website. But if you go to Perception Body and Pull, I believe it will take you to the booking website.
Perfect. That's
Otherwise,
awesome.
it's LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
That's awesome. Well, Ashley, I want to thank you for coming on in.
Yeah,
Bring in
thank
some
you.
THCs. This is,
Yeah.
you know what? Your husband was right. It's great.
Awesome.
Even the can, it looks like something tropical, so I'm okay with it.
I love it.
But
Awesome.
I want to thank you one more time for coming
Yeah,
on in.
thank
And
you.
for those who are listening, as the chef says, subscribe, like, share, and give it a 5-star rating. It helps everyone find this a lot easier, because we have people coming in from all over the Winona community and sometimes virtually. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in to another week of Brews and Cruise. Check out Ashley Wagner at Perception Body and Pull. Thank you for tuning in. Cheers.